for creativity. We thank you for our gathering. We thank you because we are one with you. We thank you because out of what is in heaven, we bring upon earth as creatives. Thank you for gathering of knowledge. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you because all that we do is to your glory. We commit today and this evening into your hands. We pray that as we go forth, as we discuss, as we build strategy together, that all shall be to your glory and into our praise. In Jesus' name we've prayed. You're welcome, guys. It's good to see you all. My name is Bojo Yelua, for those that don't know me, which I doubt there's anybody here that doesn't know me. I like to start this monthly event with just a quick reminder of why we are here, of what the Creative Tribe is and what we stand for. This is another edition of the Creative Tribe. We are shaping culture and reforming society. This is more than just an event. It's the birth of a movement, a gathering of kingdom-minded creatives, innovators, and professionals who are passionate about making a difference in the world they live in. We are doing this with faith-driven excellence and purpose. And in doing this, we understand that we live in a world whereby culture is constantly revolving, and society is being shaped by voices, ideas, and innovation. And as kingdom ambassadors, it's important to us that as we are in the marketplace, as we are in various industries that we have decided to be, we know and we always remember that we are called to be at the forefront of this transformation, to shape culture rather than just be shaped by it, to reform society rather than conform to society. Creative Tribe exists to inspire, educate, connect, catalyze, among other things, and catalyze change around like-minded individuals who desire to influence industries with kingdom values. Imagine a world whereby every sector and every venture has a son of God that is living in awareness of who they are in Christ Jesus. Imagine a beautiful world where we bring heaven on earth, and that is our reality, and that is the culture that we dwell in. So that's why we are here, to discuss how we can get that done, to build strategies that to ensure that in our industries we are bringing on earth just as it is in heaven. So before we go into our discussions today, I would also like the way we do, we have discussions and talk about what we are doing. So I'm going to go around with my mic and I'm going to hear from you. What interesting thing are you doing currently? What have you built recently, or what are you willing to share with us? Yes, I see you. And I'm coming to you. So tell me about something you're doing, something you want to do, that's your story. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Folakumi. I work in finance, but I'm also building a new brand. I've been baking for a while, and I just launched a new business. So I'm currently in a phase of marketing, strategy, positioning to attract the right clients. Yeah, it's a dessert catering company, and yeah, that's it. It's been interesting. I mean, it's nice going from just being a baker to a proper business person. Now you have to actually engage in proper business principles. So I'm looking forward to this discussion. I think I'm going to learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much for Lakumi. Yeah, you can clap to that. Building it. I mean, just a few minutes ago, I was discussing with Boy as to how a lot of people overlook what it means to build, that you understand that putting in structure and ensuring that your roots go deep, so that when you do get to that point where you start to, where what you are building is start to be known and things are beginning to come and they are shaking you, you're able to stand. And also ensuring that you have structure in place, not just for your business, but also for you. We're using an artist as a case study. That, for example, you've been building, now you have a it, but you don't have structures in place for yourself to guard you as a person. What self-regulation, what systems do you have in place to keep you grounded in what you know, to stay with your calling and not be carried away? Don't get too excited, but focus on the objective of why you started in the first place. So great job, Folakomi. We look forward to beautiful things that you're doing. Hi, maybe.
Me? Okay, hi everyone. So I won't say I've built anything just yet, but I'm in the phase where I'm looking to do something outside of my 9 to 5. So I noticed in the last, say, 6 months to 1 year, I've been rewarded very well because of the good work that I've been doing at the office. And a lot of times when those, obviously because I work in finance, a lot of those things are monetary. By the time those things come, money comes with a spirit. You just want to, oh, this fancy gadget, oh, I want it, right? I was discussing with a friend, and then we were like, what if we come together, set up something that we can use to manage the money that, because he too was saying the same thing, come together and manage our cash and then use it to invest in something that can give us something out. So also, I've also been looking for a house, and in my search for a house, I found out you could lease a property for 10 years, 15 years, and you won't pay so much. Set it up, rent it out, do whatever you want to do with it. So that now really got me thinking. So it's still very much at the beginning, but there's something there.
Ah, wonderful. You need to, when you're going around in life, you need to pay attention. Well, next million can just come from a problem that you're facing. So next one, I look forward to that solution. Hit me up. I want to hear more about it. So what am I doing? Let me talk about me. So I'm currently sitting beautifully with my consultancy hat right now. I'm seriously enjoying consulting. And I'm working with people who are building beautiful things. And not just practical products, but impact-related products. Companies who are coming out and saying, you know what, we cannot sit down in our office and expect that the business is going to thrive. We need to drive culture towards, ensuring that in 10 years, while the time this company is still standing, we are able to drive culture to what we are doing. I heard of a story of Nescafe, a coffee company trying to enter into, I think, the Korean market. And they realized that they are not coffee drinkers. And then they went strategically to flooded the market with candies that have coffee-flavored candies. So building a new generation of people who are going to consume coffee. So that is the kind of strategy I'm talking about. So seeing people build beyond just now for their company, but ensuring that they open a new market, a new niche, redefining what people want, what people consume, and how they consume it. It's a beautiful thing that I'm working on currently, and I find it quite interesting. So I'm going to go to, hi, boy.
Before you do this, the way it works, because I think it is going to get a bit more intimate. I want us to just sort of move forward. So, Boye, please move to the front seats, and your wife by your side. They are married anyway. This is Mrs. Oshinaga. All right. Fulakumi, come forward. I know that the Mr. is not here yet. Okay. I know that Fidelity Bank is still in your mind, or FCMB. Which one again is it? But it's an F. Okay, but before you go to that, I think coming over here, I think somebody asked BK. I think BK was telling me that somebody asked him, what is the Lagos you remember? And BK said it's the Lagos of Mr. Biggs, Tantalizers, and Sweet Sensation. Sweet and sweet no more. Mama Cass, you understand? But guys, tasty fried chicken. Ha! Tasty fried chicken. No, but just even thinking about it, it looks like the timeline for most of these African businesses is like 10, 20 years, right? Now, here is the black belt. He doesn't even know what black belt is. Yeah, he doesn't know black belt, but we got him belled with the black. There's also foodies. There is also Buka Hall. I mean, there's some new guys. The place looks like it's transgenerational. The place refuses to be left behind. They there's like never. So, but one other one that has intrigued me is Mega Chicken. Those guys are Chinese. They cook. Are you sure? Yeah. Because every time when you meet them, there's a Chinese upstairs. Always. But those guys are actually crazy. I don't even know how to do it. They are model. They just find a way. No, but they have a strategy location. So for them, they look for a high traffic area. You understand? We used to have Mr. D. So around Nikat Guy Road, Mr. D used to bring food. It's like a mobile food. And for the longest time, all my staff used to go and buy Mr. D. Waka now, Free Me Digital. So all those guys working on that area, they go to Mr. D. Mr. D was not always polite. Yes, he was not polite, and he will give you number. And you better behave yourself. You will not be sold food. You understand? Like Mr. B was the king in town. Everybody, literally, people, Mr. D say, I need one line, one file. He will say, nobody eats today. One file. And people are paying. You understand? Do you know 2 months after Mega Chicken came, we kissed Mr. D goodbye. It was so painful. Like, people kept talking like, oh, Mr. D, like, they were going to Mega Chicken, like, I don't know where he has taken his truck to right now. But guys, it just speaks to innovation. I'm glad that we're here to talk about it. Just reflecting about that, how many companies, and it's not just private sectors. If we talk about public, I mean, James is not here. He's going to be here soon. His dad worked for NAFCON. NAFCON was, is in Nigeria Association of Fertilizer, Nigeria, something anyway. There was NAFCON. There is national carrier. So in terms of Nigeria Airways, right? Nigeria Airways was a thing. There was Nitel. You understand? There was NEPA. It looks like if the company starts with it's gone. You know, the one that is giving all of us national problems is NPC. They are always declaring loss. How can you be so rich declaring loss? So even right now, people are pleading that they should leave the JAM registrar alone. Right? He's a good man. But honestly, he was the first profitable agency in a long time. So if people are failing exam, but you're profitable, your purpose is not those. If your purpose is that they keep saying, this man made money for us. But anyway, someone even said something that in this 21st century, you can't possibly be doing JAM in such a way that you can't get your exam the same day. No, but let's do that. Like 12 guys from Yaba, serious programmers, can give you that solution, and it will be more than 20 million. Right? They spent, I don't know what they spent. I know that they spent, well, that's just even being to be generous, but they spent right now, the jam still takes, I think now they've arrested some guys who said these guys literally hacked the system and allocated scores to people at a fee. Like, when you hear no, you pay for it too. If your money stop at 200, this thing, it's not your brain, it's your pocket account. But just even seeing that the registrar, they're all upset that you see our system is not flawed, but we are simply victims. Like, so the man gave a speech. In this speech, he cried. He cried very much, and people were clapping when he was crying. There was such a weird. So he was like, "I take responsibility for the." Oh, families here. No, but they said it was a tough VC in Akure. It was tough. But jam has toughened. Jam is not like as soft as it. Yeah. So, but right now, I don't know that he's going anywhere anyway, because once you cry, no, genuine repentance. No, like he actually cried. People that know him personally said it was paining him because there were insubordination behind him. This subordination when he was clapping, like he said, I take responsibility. No, Nigerians don't take responsibility. You understand? INEC, Mahmoud did not apologize for BV. What was that? BVAS. Something failed. He did not apologize. Some places didn't have lights. BVAS was not solar paneled. Yeah, and he just lived on. Someone, please come and take over. Let me not carry your mic.
PV, before you go, tell us, what are you building?
What is it?
You have 2 minutes.
Boye and I were supposed to build another one. Boye was like, he blessed this product, don't you come out to make I leave this man of God. But recently, I think that I entered into what I call next gen products, right? And I'm building a product called Nano. It's a simple idea, right? I told you guys about creating a platform that can help drive micro-influencing as an industry. So every time I do campaign for brands, we called all these big guys. At first, it was Lai. Lai was very kind. And then now Lai is almost unaffordable. Even Tunde that is my friend, Tunde Anokaya, we used to do Festival of Ideas meeting and speaking of chairs in the slum. But apparently, he got a manager, and the last time we called Tunde sent us a rate. He sent his manager, he never sent a rate card. But my point is, if you give him say 10, and maybe 10M, yeah, you'll get some traction. But what we started to realize, you see, if you take that 10 million naira, divide it by 1,000 people, right? How much will each person get? Divide by 1,000. 10,000. If you go to a place like Unilag, or go to a place where you can find people with a 2-3K followers, and they get 10K to repost or to even do UCG. You know what we call UCG? She's in industry. User-generated content. So now, the truth was that you have actually deeper dive, because when Lai posts you for morning, he has posted you in the morning. Afternoon, you don't post homo. You understand? Like maybe your own product is that you don't need soap. Your market is that you don't need to wash. The next product is canceling you. But anyway, when you have all those micro-influencers, they are even easier to navigate. They can post twice. People complain about Wizkid. Wizkid will take your money and get offended when you call him that he has not posted. He might just decide that I'm not posting again. So I don't know how they roll, him and Verma. Yes, very funny. And they will sign to the campaign. The only person that posts when he's supposed to post is David O. They said he's a bit more, and he's looking out for it. But the other ones can just like, which kind of team it is? Because they have money, doesn't mean spoiling my page. They've collected money, like, I don't like this logo. You understand? How can we change logo? No, some of these artists, even Rema, nobody they touch them. They can just decide like, why this thing? Why not assign this thing? So brands are scared. But I really think the idea is to build this influencing engine where we can actually get people to create, and you open an account. And so when we have campaign, we post it, you can pick. And once you pick, you can even have like 4 or 5 campaigns in a day and make maybe 200K. My intention is that some people will pay their way through school. Now there's a kingdom side to this thing. So you can pay their way through school. I really just see it, because we were looking for downloads one time, looking for, all these startups that come and say, sir, right now we're projecting in the next 1 year, we'll have 1 million downloads. There is no 1 million downloads in any app I've seen, apart from Child Deck. And Child Deck, they came by their skin of their teeth, say, please, whatever you need to do, right? So I really think that's what I'm building in this season, and I'm really thinking it will help drive down marketing costs in a significant way, make it more impactful, help you measure more conversion in a more critical way, because at the end of the day, your runway and your burn rates are 2 factors that affect your survival as a startup.
Thank you very much, Fedi. Okay. Would you like to discuss what you're building? After all, if he's building, you're building, so...
Hi, my name is Favor. Good evening.
So in terms of building, I mean, to be fair, it's building and building. We're building greatly together. We're always discussing ideas. I'm literally like the first bouncing board. But aside from Greatly, I work with The Republic. It's a media journalism outfit. And in my role, so I work as executive assistant to the CEO. And one thing I found myself doing lately is just focusing on how to help generate revenue for the company or monetization of our products. Because one thing as well that I'm very concerned about is being redundant in a role like that, because it's very easy to just get carried away with the redundant tasks. You're not making impact, and that's not what I went into the role to do. So lately, I would say what I've been working on, not necessarily building, is just generating revenue, building partnerships, and I would say so far, I've been proud. I'm proud of how far I've come, because there are some things I've done and if I sit back and I look at it, I'm like, how did I even, like, literally I'll be scared. I'm like, can I make this happen? But, it's been happening, and yeah, so that's where we're at now.
Well done, Favor. I mean, I feel like I can relate to that because I actually worked as an EA once as well. Yeah, I worked as an EA, and I think that was a springboard for me because I was privy to everything, and I gleaned on everything. I jumped on everything, did the one they did not send me. I read them the ones they did not send me. Funny enough, one of those gleaning, I found a serious issue and saved the company a lot of money. And they didn't send me to read it. I just read it, and I found it. So yes, well done, Favor. I wish you the very best. David, do you want to go? What are you building? What are you doing? Tell me. How is FCMB feeling the impact?
Hi, guys. So, funny, we do the same stuff. I'm the EA to the CFO of FCMB. So, so as far as what I'm working on is concerned, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. It's never just one stuff. But I think the one I'm really, really interested in is there's this project to expand. And with that comes a lot of research, understanding different markets, and, the whole activity that goes with it is actually a learning point, and I'm getting exposed to a lot of interesting things about different cultures and how that affects business. Okay. Then as far as my own personal aspirations is concerned, because it's still tied to, the financial sector, yeah. I'm trying to redefine or understand economics from a different perspective, because I know that what we learn in schools tells us that, man is trying to make ends meet with scarce resources. Yeah, but I'm trying to rethink that aspect of scarce resources, because scarcity kind of like introduces competition rather than cooperation amongst human beings, amongst people, amongst businesses. That's why you go to Lagos Island now, one line, everybody's selling the same thing. Different, do you understand? No, everybody just buying and selling. Do you get? But I think that for Nigeria to really progress as a country, we need to understand the power of cooperation and collaboration. Bring your different perspectives. So I'm just trying to rethink economics, and in such a way that it's very inclusive, very collaborative, and just taking us towards a more flourishing humanity.
Thank you very much, David. Oh my God, that was a round of applause again, please. I mean, it's one thing to understand that there's a way of life, and this is what they've taught us, and this is what they taught us in school. Also, for you to get to a point where you realize that somebody said so, somebody made that policy principle, somebody discovered that policy, doesn't mean that you cannot recreate it. Doesn't mean, after all, ye are gods. Yes. So it's you studying what is, understanding what is, and trying to, build something different from current reality, or even just redefine what is. Thank you very much, David. I look forward to that. So for those who just joined us, welcome to the Creative Tribe. We're going around talking about what we are currently doing, currently building, or ideas that we're just thinking around. We're going to start our discussion by 7 o'clock, but before that, I'd like to hear from maybe just two people. So I'm thinking, who is kid? Yes, I think so. Okay, so the three of you can go 1 minute. Isaac, I would come to you too. What are you doing? What are you working on?
Praise the Lord. A lot, but I think few now. One, my building. So, by the grace of my pastor, who have pushed me into the creative side of me and taken advantage of it and pushing it to the market, I've registered a company called Pattern and Co. So, all thanks to Pastor Feli. Yeah, so what I'm there to achieve with that is, to create, is something that helps to enhances human confidence and enlighten art in the piece that we wear. Creating art in a particular style that fits you and tells a story about you without you saying a word. That's basically that. The second is also building. It's still in the planning and infant stage where we are looking at solving a solution for mechanics and just the mobile side of it, like mechanics and car parts, just to bridge the gap between customers and technicians when it comes to fixing of cars and the rest. Because I noticed the problem, which I experienced within the years, which is trust. There's very little amount of trust that flows in between those channels. So creating a platform that foster that and also give confidence to whoever that is using the solution. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. That's a very important solution, because I've been using the mechanic for the past 5 years, and for some reason he wasn't around, and my car was funny, and I took it to just somebody around. And I had my mechanic actually talk to him, and even from that point, he was already feeling like, why should he talk to somebody? I'm like, there's somebody that owns this car, right? And unfortunately, right there and there, they stole my catalyst. Yes, so that's a very important, because yes, so now I'm down an expensive catalyst because my mechanic was not around. So that's a very important solution that you need to work on. Is a thing.
No, but apart from that, I know he said two things. One of them that I kind of admire is his passion for fashion, right? And Daniel was illustrating fashion as when he was like 7, 8, or younger. And sometimes we have to all return to something that is natural to us, right? And I think that he's something that comes easy for him. And I'm like, okay, you're always suggesting to people, combine this one, combine that one. Maybe why don't you put it into context and bring your creativity to it? So I was even telling him that, see, people on this GT Fashion Week, it's just a bold step. They just step out, and at the end of the day, even yesterday he was measuring BK and He told BK to sit down, and he was measuring BK sitting, standing. I'm thinking, they never tell me to sit down. I can't affirm BK no lie down, no. Yeah, at the point I was like, this one. But no, the passion was there, right? And even the one about mechanic, somebody will go to Ladipo and tell you they bought it in 70K. And meanwhile, that thing is 40K. They've run you streets. So you have to come correct when you're dealing with mechanics. And this, to solve price comparison, it's not even about that. It's buying the real thing. You understand? So if what you are buying, you know you're buying. Oga Chooks.
No, there's so much pressure when you're the next person. Good evening, everybody. Hi, guys. I'll try to stick to 1 minute, so I'll just talk about the one that is shocking me the most now. And is a company that I just launched after a lot of thought. And it's called My Risk. And it's about the trying to change the mentality of how people start businesses so that businesses can actually thrive. Because I realized that risk management as a topic is something that a lot of founders think is for much more established organizations. They consider it probably as a cost. But the point of risk management is not that you fix all the problems, it's that you know all the problems and plan for it. There are some times that your funds will not let you fix it, but it's much better if you know that this kind of thing can happen. I'll give an example. Someone saying that their business in Nigeria failed because of the electricity situation. Sounds like a good thing to say, but doesn't really make sense. Because you understand. But this is something that happens every time. Or let's say you didn't take it as a big issue because you had an uncle and you were staying in his house and running the project there. So you were not paying for light. So you had light. And you thought that that's okay, you can launch like that. You understand? So then he wakes up and says that, okay, they've sacked me. And now all of us need to pack from this estate. You understand the picture of things. So it's like that's the passion in me. A lot of people's goals are dying off and they are blaming things that, there's a buzz about failure. It's like, fail fast, fail early. Don't worry, fail. Don't be afraid to fail. It's a very dangerous way to go because failing is a waste of resources, whether you like it or not. You can't just be failing away a lot of funds. You get what I'm trying to say? So there are so many things that have failed that shouldn't have failed in the first place. So that's where my passion for My Risk comes from. It's from making people understand that risk is not about something bad can happen or something bad is going to. It's just that anything, literally anything, can happen. And I try to. So right now, what I'm doing, I'm shooting a lot of content that sort of brings down the idea of risk management to be very relatable.
So are you consulting for us so that if I'm starting a business, I'll come and meet you and pay you, not tell me where the risk is?
Yes, I do like a business. It's like there's a business plan risk assessment because you can definitely get high on your idea, so high that you are just thinking, all your thoughts are just like best case scenario from beginning to end, exactly. Which is, when you add that with prayer, sometimes in tongues, you may just feel like it has already happened, right? Which is good, but the best part of it is having it all planned.
But something you said is a little dangerous.
Okay.
The thing is that Nigerians have been stigmatized, like we stigmatize failure. So if you come and not tell people that, and so we're even encouraging Nigerians, it's okay to fail. Because we're coming from a place where you were not meant to be human. So the idea, and I know it's a Silicon Valley narrative, and there's a way that we can take a story from Silicon Valley and Nigeria will rough you. Because Silicon Valley, they believe in failure. So if they find third-time founders attractive. When you say, I failed twice, they say wisdom. You understand? Yeah. One-time failure, you're already a blacklisted, I beg. So even this guy, that guy busted a whole company, I woke up one day and raised money on idea. In fact, I don't understand Silicon Valley, but this is how they do it. The bank company, they believe that if 10% succeed, 90% will fail. and that 10% will recoup the money for the 90, and that formula has not failed. But I really think there's a space where you have to remember that we're coming from primary school, secondary school, where, everybody's still trying to say, it's okay.
You know, the issue, sir.
Because, failure is an identity. So when we say, it's okay, we're telling people to take a little more risk. You understand? But when you tell them, say, my brother, you have to be careful that this celebration of failure is a resource management process.
You're right, sir.
You want to say something?
Yeah, but you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I think they're both right, at the end of the day. And I think I've been thinking about that, and I really like how you put it. I think it's a perspective that carries weight depending on what side of the equation you're in. Does that make any sense? So the idea behind it is I actually agree that you should not be doing anything with the intention to fail. Do you see what I mean? And I'll speak on that a little bit more after, because I think the idea about, it's okay to fail, it makes more sense after you failed. Do you see what I mean? Do you get my point? After you fail, that's fine. So it's like, and I don't want to obviously go all spiritual, but let's look at sin, right? The idea is after we've come short of the glory of God, there's all this opportunity. Does that make any sense? Like, you're now here. The only way is up. Does that make any sense? So the beautiful thing of having fallen is that you can only get better from here. Does that make any sense? It's like, actually, there's a lot to look forward to. I can now start to live righteously, right? But actually, the whole idea why Christ came is not so that we can keep sinning and falling and keep... Do you see what I mean? Is that the actual power of the grace of God, if used correctly, is to stop you from sinning. Do you see what I mean? So let's go back to what you've said. Is that if you can get it right once and keep it moving. Do you see what I mean? But if you've failed, actually, it's not the end of the world. Look at the opportunity. Look at the upside. Do you see what I mean? And I think that's where that balance comes. So if they're both right, it's just where to apply it, if that makes sense.
No, you see something, so that I can just wrap up and then say talk about the service at least that I offer. The thing about risk for me is not a what could go wrong game. It's purely opportunity, because that's the point of risk management. It's purely about opportunities. We already know what's going to go wrong. We already know, that's the easier part. What can go wrong? It's what opportunities would enhance this stuff that I have not taken. That's the risk management, because risk is neither good nor bad. It's just uncertain. It's just we don't know. So that's the approach that I take for it. So I do funding risk management. You want to raise money. So there are specific questions or loopholes you might have that you might want to look at. There are opportunities you might want to overstate or state that you've not mentioned, that you could gain from your investor. That's in preparation for funding, just to show your investor that you understand your internal and external environment and you're not operating on dreams, right? It's very key for many investors, especially because we're in Nigeria and they have a perception. So you need to show that you understand that perception. Then I do normal business plan, risk assessment. You have a business plan, you have a financial plan, you want to just have an assessment, and it's purely objective. That's what I'm trying to say. It's about, that's the difference between the risk management that came from the finance industry and what we have now in risk management. Those guys were auditors. Yes, sir. No, honestly.
If risk as a service is a good standalone or a complementary service to VC firms who are trying to verify the potency of each deck. So, to my mind, your road to market might actually be getting the VC firms to keep you as an internal consultant, helping them pre-qualify rounds if they're going to do a round of investment, than just something, because from the point of a startup, a lot of founders are still going to be very skeptical to want to even pay for a risk assessment. But so think of, is this something you're creating as a technology platform where I can subscribe and upload my business plan, and you can give me my risk quotient, my risk maybe like a measurement like 10 over 7 over 10 risk evaluation of some sort. If there's a technology with AI where we can just pay $20, if you don't give us, we go.
While that might be easier, it's just that the point of risk management is actually the the communication. Like if I don't understand what is in your mind very well, AI can come up with your risk assessment, to be very frank, if you put your business plan. But that's not the idea. It's that we get, it's like I share the objective with you, and side by side, those things that you know deeply about the business, it helps. You're the one that comes up with the solution, not me. That's the point of it. I can't, if I do the assessment for you, AI does that. But if I talk with you about the solution, we are looking at the objectives side by side, positively, objectively. It's not, I don't know, that's the part, that's the value for me. And I said small and medium-sized enterprises because I plan for it to be cheap. I plan for it to be cheap because I want it to be collaborative. I'm not going to do all the things for you. It's a small and medium size, so I don't look at it as a costly service at all. I have one client now. Ikada is an electric bike company, and we have some. We are looking at, and that's what I was. This is the exact same thing I was saying. If you want me to just do the risk assessment for you, I recommend paid ChatGPT, because you can actually put your whole business plan in there, and it will give you like fantastic risk assessment. But I'd rather work with you. Let's come up with the assessment matrix together. Let's agree on what we consider high risk and what we consider low. Do you get? If not, we are just going to it's just going to be a wasted risk assessment. Like we didn't take any action from it. We didn't make any plans from it. That's the idea behind why I look at it. But then in terms of how to reach people, I agree. Like being in partnership with those, it bring a lot of visibility, I think. Okay, thank you.
I literally just closed out a transaction for a client, and we've been on this thing for 2 years. And yes, from negotiations, from initiation to signing, 2 years. And why did it take that long? It was because, one, I needed to get the best deal for my client, considering the climb. And what that meant was a lot of risk management. What can possibly go wrong? How can we take advantage of this risk? What can we do? And we went back and forth. And even when it looked like we're going to frustrate the whole effort, they always came back to the table, which I found very interesting. And after 2 years, we got the best deal ever. And they are ready to fly. So I see what you're saying, and I like the idea of VCs, but I think that is most valuable for business, people doing business in Nigeria, because I promise you, people are dying every day. Businesses are dying on a constant because they cannot just, and the issue is not that there is a risk, but that they are not able to see how they can take advantage of even the risk. So being a stakeholder in your problem and building your solutions in line with your problems is something that we probably need to learn as a people. So yes, I will probably discuss. I see a collaboration here. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. My name is Tombara. Just sitting down here, I was like, what do I do? So I think I do a couple of things. But I'm a product manager. I wear different hats. Wear PM in some, wear head of technology in some other part. So that's what I do. What I'm currently doing right now, we just recently launched a product for one of the partners at the health industry. But what is most exciting to me right now is I'm also a co-founder of my cousin. He's a software engineer, and we're building a gas application for the Nigerian market. So basically what we're looking at is how we can use sonar sensors to aggregate how people use their gas, and basically, you know that situation whereby you're cooking and your gas just finished and you have to run out to go and buy gas. So yeah, so the solution should be, which should enable people who use cooking gas to basically know when to order their gas and all. Outside that, the rest project is just work. and sometimes it gets exciting, sometimes it doesn't. It was exciting when I was building the health app, and when we were done, we shipped to the clients. It's not exciting anymore. Sometimes like, I don't even just build, and that's just.
Oh, that was a very wonderful session. Yes. Oh, yes. Please, can you give him?
Okay. Quickly. So. It's funny how we came into flourishing this year. I registered a company like 4 years ago, Flourish Fusion World, and by the grace of God, I've started using it. What I'm working on currently is nostalgia. So the goal of nostalgia is basically harnessing memories for the purpose of informing, educating, for the ultimate goal of impact. Yeah, so life is a catalog of memories. What makes life like flourishing is what you do with those memories. So what we try to do, like the upcoming event on the 12th of June, Nostalgia, A Tale of Democracy, what we're trying to do is go back in time, look at that experience, see what we've learned as a people in Nigeria, look at how that impacted our democratic or political trajectory to where we are, and then project into the future and see how we can make things better for ourselves as a people. Yeah, and then I started something called Waka Lagos early this year. And the basic point of Waka Lagos is geared towards commuters that are coming into Lagos to help them find their way around, a lot of stuff. And quite recently, I'm thinking of how, apart from, the commuters coming in and all that, also trying to open their eyes to the opportunities in Lagos and then making the most of them for economic value, kind of, yeah. So that's something I've been thinking of recently. And then one other thing I'm also thinking about also is something I call voices. Whether you're audible or you're inaudible, you're speaking. I like to go back to what Daniel was talking about, fashion that suits you and you don't have to say a word, right? So voices is basically, maybe it will come up in form of maybe a, what do you call this? So it's more like a show or something, right? So you're an artist, you're a singer, you're a poet, whatever form of art you're in, you're speaking, right? And you're being exposed to showing off the goal behind what you do, basically. So that's what Voices is about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I look forward to your concierge services and how we can even tie it into the growing Dirty December yes. God, I mean, I remember listening to PFA to speak about how we can even transform Dirty December into a proper economy that spans beyond December in Nigeria, that goes like a all year round tourist destination for vibes, just for the vibes, and the culture. Yes. So.
Sorry, I was saying that if you go to the UK and you want to watch Hamilton, you look like some people even buy tickets ahead. But if you want to go and watch Phantom of the Opera, you would realize that some people are buying tickets. If you look at even football, people just buy tickets.
Yes.
So I was always saying that even Dirty December, we made $71 million last year. And the people who came for Dirty December went back without anything. Nobody thought of merchandise. You see that art market in, where's that art market?
Lekki Art Market.
The road to the art market itself is not a road.
Terrible.
Nobody's interested. My point is, those guys would have sold out.
Yes.
You understand? And so there was no merchandise, no T-shirt, Lagos loves you, Ekoni Baje. Like, you'll be so surprised. Some of the people who came back wearing Ekoni Baje might just be like, oh, I'm black now, because they're connected with something. So I really think, even with respect to activities, I tried to watch this show, Dear Cafe, and we couldn't get tickets for 2 weeks. They now added one more week. That was when we got tickets to the show. They added another week. So even their coffee was a collateral surprise. They did not understand that. I know they would sell out, but to sell four weekends installment was tough. Was not something they preempted. And the story again is that tickets from US and UK to Nigeria is finishing. In fact, someone told me that there are probably no tickets left to come to Lagos. So we Lagosians have to take advantage. Your show, plug it in. We should go to a website where I can see Dirty December loading. Anything, if you're doing your comedy stand-up stuff, plug it in. You don't know, there might be 1,000 people who might be thinking, I went for Bona yesterday, I don't need to go for Rema tomorrow. Let me look for something else and enjoy myself. A restaurant should be able to create eat-out cuisine. So if you don't think it, you will not unlock it. That $71 million was not intentional. If we're intentional, it will be 10x.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for everybody building something. We're proud of you. I feel like we have a community of, we're doing well, of builders, of innovators. Thank you. So now to the second business of the day, because that was also a business of the day. Second business of the day, the heart of strategy. I'd like to invite Boye Oshinaga and Mr. Bukumi Olukoye to, you can have your seats. You can, one person there, one person here. I think I'm going for, I don't even know. I'm not sure. Because I wasn't meant to be here. They dragged me in, but it's okay. I'm here for you. So, strategy. So, I would like to start. Where's second mic? So, yes. Can I get one more mic, please, so we don't have to pass around? Here. Hi, Nelson. Can I get one more? Thank you. So, the art of strategy. I would like to start from... I'd like to start from you. About strategy. So, what's that? Because we throw it around a lot. We throw it around a lot. What does it really mean?
Okay. So I actually I have a definition here, so I came prepared. I'll give you the definition, and I'll give you something a lot simpler, right? So the definition I have here is about strategy is about seeing the big picture. Does that make sense? Seeing the big picture, anticipating challenges or opportunities, and planning actions that lead to success over time. So you see the key word there, right? A few of them. Big picture, right? So not necessarily detail, but the whole picture, right? Seeing the big picture, anticipating. So not reacting, being proactive, yeah? Not waiting for something to happen and then for you to act on it, but using existing data. So it comes with a lot of research. Anticipating challenges or opportunities. Then planning. So it's not just about seeing the big picture. It's not just about anticipating, because if you anticipate and do nothing, then it lands nowhere, if that makes sense. And then planning actions, not just planning anything, planning a set of actions that lead to success over time. So that's the complicated one. The simple definition of strategy for me is, what do we want to do? What are we going to do to achieve what we want to do? And what are we not going to do? For me, it's that simple. It's literally that simple. What is it that we want to do? What is it that we want to do to achieve what we want to do? And what are we not going to do? Does that help?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That sounds to me like a question anybody should ask anybody. Ask yourself before you start anything. I mean, it's quite simple, but as simple as it is, we've found that a lot of people actually do ask those questions before they start things. I think earlier I was having a conversation with Boye. I think we should bring that up now. And we're speaking to how people just do things without really thinking about what structures they need to put in place. So Boye, please, can you speak to the necessity of creating a personal structure for yourself and being a founder yourself? What have you found to be true about personal structures in terms of strategy?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think I want to just add a little bit to the definition of strategy. one of the simplest definitions I've heard is strategy is a theory of how you will win. Strategy is a theory of how you will win. So essentially, when you picture, people, we all picture ourselves somewhere. So you're like, this business, when I start it, people will be trooping in. Everybody will just be coming here. They will just be buying. I will just be like counting money, we're counting cash. Now that's the picture. And that's the picture of you winning, right? Yeah. Now, strategy is now how. So planning is part of strategy, but it's not the complete, because the thing with planning is that you're doing things within your control. You're like, I will do this, I will do this. There are parts that it's not you that will do it. It's the environment that would do it. You get what I mean? They will do one policy. It's not you. It's part of the strategy as well. So I think that's how I think about it. And that very nice definition is also, it's not time telling. Time telling is like success. Like, what's the time? 12. That's time telling. But strategy is clock building. So that you're always telling the time. You're always successful. So that's strategy, right? So a lot of times when you look at that story of like Tasty Fried Chicken, Sweet Sensation, I actually know somebody that was in the transformation of Mr. Biggs. They refused to change. It's not. My friend Benga, he was their chief transformation officer. They refused to transform. I also know the person that was the chief transformation officer for the place. They agreed to transform. Ufoma. She changed them. She said, see, you can't be looking like this anymore. The concept, Black Bell have changed the standard. So you cannot be looking like old school. So they went and said, okay. So they went to go and collect loan, hundreds of millions, to do complete renovation of the place. That's why all the places have changed. Have you noticed? Yes. But they still kept the low price. So it was still low price, but fancy looking. So they changed their strategy, essentially. So that's a little bit about that. I know that question.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Absolutely.
I think some of what we discussed now is that we're literally going to bounce off each other, because it's be difficult not to want to speak to what you're saying and vice versa. When I find it, I'll send it to whoever wants to watch it. This is the things that I spend my time watching. I watched a clip on effectively the demise of Mr. Biggs, right? And one of the things that they actually said was, one of the reasons, amongst many things, is that they decided to go the franchise approach, right? So if you guys know McDonald's, right? McDonald's, KFC, a lot of these guys operate using the franchise approach. The thing about the franchise approach is, whilst it allows you to proliferate quickly, because it's less labor intensive on yourself, because other people take literally your platform and replicate. For it to work, there has to be a certain degree, in fact, a high degree of consistency, right? Certain things have to be the same, right? If I'm going to McDonald's here, it has to be the same. I don't want my McDonald's in Ibadan to smell different to the one in Lagos. There's a problem. Does that make any sense? But if you think about it in the space that we operate in Nigeria, just think about it for a second. Do you get my point? Like, if you get some part of the north and you give them meat pie, they'll stone you. Literally. Do you understand my point? And that's part of the things that maybe they didn't get right. So that forward thinking about, whilst franchise is great, would it really work in the context of what we're trying to build here? So I think that's part of what we're talking about in terms of the forward thinking and sort of thinking ahead.
Yeah, and I think to just go back to the question, because I actually didn't talk about the question. One of the things that I found to be very true in my own personal life and what I've seen is that sometimes all that strategy conversation that you're having at company, organization level is first of all personal. Yeah. Like, the first strategy is personal strategy. Because, Jesus said that, who would start a project and will not count the cost? Sometimes, like, we don't count the cost of showing up continuously, because consistency is success. But many people cannot be consistent. They don't have the capacity to be consistent in the thing that they've chosen because of some other personal issues. So I think that the first strategy to develop is your personal strategy. And in developing your personal strategy is essentially, what are the things that are necessary for me to keep showing up? That's one of the questions to ask. Another one is, what am I good at? Jim Collins in Good to Great says that, what are you the best in the world at? that question makes you just give up. Because you say which one be best in the world again, But it's like every time you look about businesses, people are like, what makes this thing so unique? My brother went for an eating experience, dining experience, and he met one of the most popular guys, restaurant owners. It's called Salt Bay. I don't know how many people know him. That does his hand like. The meat was normal, everything was. But like, it's just, yeah. So I think there's something about the uniqueness of it. The way he does it, I don't know. But that experience, that performance. In fact, I'm in the education space, and I was telling my guys, like, I've not been a fan of. I've been like, everybody talks about Duolingo. I've now fallen in love with Duolingo they know the biggest thing in Duolingo is one small thing that they repeat 1 million times. And that's actually what everybody is looking for in anything. So it's like, everybody's, okay, I'm making cake, all of us are making cake, that kind of thing, right? But it's now like, but there's something about that. I had Daphne Zobo recently, and I'm like, if this thing was sweeter than this, I would not like it. But it was exactly the level of sweetness I can survive. You get what I mean? So there's something about, the Zobo is just like, this thing was a bit more bitter than this, I would not like it. So it's like, I just want to say, like, that's so, just talking about personal structure. So one of it is, what will it take for you to be consistent? You have to ask yourself that. Another is, most of the time, when you are not blowing, you are preparing, right? So success, opportunity, meeting, preparation. We're talking about Gaze Baba's story. I knew Gaze Baba since when he was rapping in OAU. That was 15 years ago or something. So this thing that you're just seeing now is 15 years old, 20 years old. So that's how, we need to prepare before opportunity comes, and not necessarily live for the opportunity, because opportunity itself can be a detractor. Because one of the things opportunity then does is that it puts you in a place where if you say yes to everything, and you get lost again. So it's like success itself, is a risk. Success itself is a risk. Yeah. So when you're now successful, like now, Gaze Baba success, no turning back now. So you now get like maybe 200 invitations. And then you will now find out what his personal values are, what his structure is, what his framework is, what everything will now show in success. So that's a little bit about strategy.
I hear what you've said, but I also think that I want to speak to what that personal structure looks like, right? For somebody like Folakumi, who has Tasty Bites, yes. So does it look like? Oh, Folakumi is starting a business now. She needs to put in a process in place for when, because she's still in finance. She's still in finance, right? So she needs to be able to show up at work possibly. Is it that right now when she's still building, she's putting in a process as she's learning each recipe, she's putting it down and putting a structure for when I hire people? Or is it that she's also putting in, trying to see how Bites can make more money outside, how she can make more money out of Bites to be able to sustain Bites when Bites is in the building phase? So I want us to speak to practical of what that looks like, of what a personal structure to help because from what Boye has said, he has said, for you to even build anything with structure, you yourself have to have structure. Your person needs to be structured, right? So I want to speak to what that looks practically for, we've spoken about everybody here and what they do. So what does that look like in practice?
I think what I would say is, not to overcomplicate things. I think, first of all, let me ask a question. Can I throw a question to the audience?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve in life? Can we all go one after the other? I'm trying to get somewhere.
That's very heavy. I want to have money.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I want
so
to.
Carol, I don't want to interrupt you too much. I like how Freddy smiled, because like that's my guy.
I think I would want to have or live a fulfilled life, like have a really good life, live a good life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Impact.
Okay.
A full life of impact.
Okay.
So the question, what do you want to achieve, Abi?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just what I see. Yeah, I just want a situation where food, clothing, shelter isn't what anybody has to worry about anymore. You're not working to eat, you're not working to live in a house, you're not working for anything. These three things, because you're a human being, you're God's child, like there are greater things for you to think about and worry about. So that's just what I want to see. That's why I just think that we need to redefine economics, because people are living less. This is a distraction. This world is a distraction. And I just wish that, people could live above what to eat, what to wear, where to sleep. That's not your problem. That shouldn't be your problem as a human being, because the animals don't worry about those stuff.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, this guy is taking it to the next level. Okay, let me ask another question. Sorry, let me focus on you then. What's your basic? What's the vision for your life? Like one word. What's the vision for your own life personally?
Personally,
Yeah.
just to get out of my mouth, human flourishing. That's
Human
just,
flourishing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your vision, right?
That's my vision.
Okay. So what would you say your personal mission is?
To be part of the achievement.
You can hear the passion in his voice, right? Right? To be part of
the achievement of human flourishing. Just to find that solution, to create it, to make it possible.
Okay. What's your timeline?
A timeline.
And I don't know if you guys are picking up what's going on here, but what's your timeline to achieve this?
For as long as I live.
Okay. But what's...
Okay. 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Okay, no, but what's your timeline to begin to make that immediate impact? Do you want, or is that 20 years? Do you want to start making an impact?
No.
Like yesterday, right?
Like right now.
Like right now. Okay, so that's your timeline.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the obstacles?
What are the obstacles?
Yeah.
Okay. So I haven't really thought about, because how I'm going about it is in steps, yeah?
Yeah.
I think I myself need to rise above that thinking.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be in a system and change the system. I think I heard it from you.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I'm seeing above that.
Okay.
So that bringing people into it is much better. That's why I'm trying to convince myself that I understand what I really want to do.
Okay.
I know I want to see, but the tactics, the strategy, the knowing is where I'm working out for myself. So that has started now.
Okay. So what's that obstacle?
So that obstacle is probably myself.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to get myself to the level of knowing.
Okay.
For that to be able to flow.
Okay. Can you give me an example of what you think you can do to address that obstacle? So what we're doing is we're strategizing right now. It's just not realizing. But that's literally what we're doing. Can you give me an example of what you can do, what you think you can do?
Okay, and it's important because human flourishing is, as long as we are tribals, that's our understanding.
That's the core. That's the baseline.
So, but we have to then have a personal application in how we bring that flourishing to the things we're expressing.
Okay. So there are two areas that I want to start from. Mm-hmm. And that is education. Basically get people to know that this is what life has to offer. This is what life really means. That's education, and is okay. Education, one. Then two, housing. From a finance perspective, there are many financial products that are existing and that can be created to make housing affordable. So if we can get more people to have roof over their heads, yeah, we're almost there. So your mind is filled, and then, you're in a good position to start thinking as a human being.
Okay.
So
what you want to do, I'll give you a name for it. It's called capacity building. That's what you want to do. You want to build capacity. Do you see what I mean? You want to also know what context you want to do it in. Education, health. Does that make any sense?
True.
You want to know what your obstacles are, what your current obstacles are, what your challenges are, what your threats are, what your opportunities are. Does that make any sense? True. You want to do a need validation. See, the problem is not that there are problems to be solved. Is that solving a problem is not always the answer. Does that make any sense? So people think that business is about solving problems. You can solve a problem that recreates another problem. In fact, you can solve a problem that basically creates a bigger monster. Does that make any sense? And that's why you're thinking right now, and I'm just trying to help you put some structure to your thinking. Because it's not bad that you don't have structure, your thinking doesn't have structure. In fact, the less structure your thinking is, for me, the more excited I am, because it's like, now we're talking. Like, this is a crazy idea, and it has to be crazy. But I'll say this, that in putting that structure together, there's things like processes, there's things like systems, there's things like tools, but all of those things can look like theory unless you first think about, how do I validate this need? How do I validate and confirm that this is something that needs solving? Does that make any sense? So you have to take the idea first, do your needs validation, but then balance your need validation by making sure that you're creating a solution that sits within the context of what you're trying to do. Does that make any sense? So what I'm trying to say is, it's not just enough to think that is a problem. Think that is a problem, but your solution must always get to the heart of the problem. Does that make any sense? And there's almost like an exercise that I probably get us to do towards the end, which is, and if you've done it before, I apologize in advance, is to look into the story of Walmart. Do you guys know Walmart? The big, yeah? And the reason why they failed woefully in Germany. I'm talking about, like, probably the biggest supermarket chain in the world. Do you know how many strategists these guys have? Do you know how many intelligent people, how many project managers, program managers, product managers, everything manager of managers that they have for them to become like practically number one in the world, but fail badly? And I'm talking failed badly. When they sold, they lost $1 billion in Germany. And I will go into the reason why. And that's because they did a need validation, but the solutions were not practical. They were not made for the German context.
Great. Yeah. Thank
Sorry.
you. Okay, so you.
Sorry.
Okay.
The reason why, when I was asking this question, but when we got to him and he said human flourishing, in my head, I'm like, you spoke about us. Let's start with him. So I'm not just thinking on you. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, a question though. Okay, so before touchscreen came, nobody knew they needed touchscreen phones. It just came and it was disruptive. And people realized, oh, we like this product. Do you understand? So my question is, what do you do in a situation where it's not really faced? Because this kind of thing, people think this is the purpose of life. Do you understand? That you have to hustle. Do you get? And it sounds like, now that I talk about it doesn't really sound like practical to most people. Do you get? And that's the problem. How do you introduce a solution that people really don't think is a solution to anything? Because, like, for example, the example I gave of the iPhone, touchscreen wasn't thought of. Nobody even thought that we would like that kind of thing, but they brought it, and it was a game changer. Do you understand? Even artificial intelligence, if nobody really asks for AI, I don't know, but I didn't think we would need a situation where something is telling me about things that about everything. Do you get? We just knew computer. You do it, but AI. Do you get? But now it's as if like you can't do without it. Do you understand? So that's my question.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I think the reason why that happens, I've thought about it myself before. That why is it that do you notice that when a problem is solved, that all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we've always had that problem. That is the story of human resilience. Genuinely, like human beings can adapt to anything. We can literally adapt to anything. So right now, I might be having back pain because of the way I'm sitting and not notice, just because your body is just wired to adapt. Does that make any sense? So that's always going to be the case. Like we are built, it's inbuilt in us to make things work. Does that make any sense? So what you're painting, the whole idea that, oh, we didn't know that we needed AI, for example. Actually, we did. We've just not articulated it. Does that make any sense? I think for a fierce visionary like yourself, who's really passionate about changing everyone's life, it's about holding that thought, but also just making sure that you're very realistic in your approach and you're precise. Does that make any sense? It's about not trying to solve everything at once and not expecting that you're going to buy everyone, bring everyone on side. I'm sorry that I have to say it that way because I can tell the passion in your voice and in your head you're like, but it should be so obvious. Everyone should know that human flourishing should be priority. Unfortunately, it should, but it might take convincing, right? And so I would say focus on changing one person at a time. Does that make any sense? Like, focus on making one person's life easier. How about that? Does that make any sense? And it might sound like that's a reductionist approach to my vision. It's not. Because actually, if you're a true visionary and if you're truly passionate about what you're saying, then you will be very happy if it's only one person you can touch. Does that make any sense? So that sounds like a realistic idea, right? That you can actually make one person's life better. So you want to go into human flourishing, right? You want people to flourish. Make sure that between now and 6 months' time, 10 people, 10 beggars on the street, right, have a different life in 6 months' time. Somehow. Does that make any sense? When you do that, right, you yourself, it opens your mind to what's possible. But also, it allows people to see what's possible through you. Like, you're not always going to have people buy into it straight away. Some people are going to be latecomers. It's just the way it is. I've learned in my life, there are some latecomers in my life right now. They're my biggest advocates, right? And it was frustrating when I was selling the vision and do you understand my point? But actually, some of those guys actually taught me to be less biased about my vision. Does that make any sense? Because your vision is your vision. You almost have a entitled approach to your vision when you talk about it. You know, it's like I'm talking to Fede about this vision, and if he shrugs his shoulder, I'm like, how dare you? Like, do you know what this means? Kind of thing. But actually, yeah, maybe he needs to shrug his shoulder. Maybe he needs to challenge my thinking. Does that make any sense? Yeah?
Yeah, so just, yeah, thank you so much. You exhausted it. I feel like what I'm doing is rephrasing. So it's like I'll just rephrase a little bit in this, that question of people don't know what they want. I think one of the things is people have the same needs, but different manifestations of those needs. So when Mark Zuckerberg was developing Facebook, he was saying people need to communicate. But they were already communicating, you know. You see what I mean? So it's like humans need to communicate deeply. That's why he wanted to start Facebook. But people were already doing hello and talking on the phone for 5 hours. So the need to communicate is a deep human need. But the manifestation of that need will continue to show up in entirely new ways as time goes on. So that's how to think about it. So when Henry Ford says that, he said that when he asked people what they wanted, they said they wanted faster horses. Right? And it's true. Because transportation is a human need. But based on what they see around them, the way to transport is just make that cart move faster. right? And somebody's like, no, I want to change the entire thing. In fact, one definition of strategy is that it's not trying to win the race, but to change the entire race. Yeah, that's another way to think about strategy. And let me give another example of somebody who changed the race. In the days of New York, in early years, I think 19th century New York, they started building skyscrapers. The idea that the technology for skyscrapers became possible, that you can take something so high, but they use concrete, right? And then Andrew Carnegie, who had made his money from trains and other things, was testing an idea that you can use steel for it. Now, steel was so light and did not compare with concrete. So the need is the same. The people want to have buildings that can go high. But he's now saying there's a material that can do this thing cheaper than concrete. And so he continued to test that. It was many years, like 3, 4, 5 years, to make sure that steel had the qualities of something that can do a skyscraper. Now, in order to get his first project, people did not believe that steel can do it. So he had to start convincing people. But his best way to convince people was that he was going to single-handedly build a bridge, which is another thing they use concrete for, with steel. And on the day of the launch of the bridge, he took one of the most famous elephants that they use for circuses. So everybody knew the circuses, and the biggest elephant in America. And so he took the biggest elephant in America to walk with him on the steel bridge. If you break. If you break, you don't break in career. You don't break in career. So I just think, I've said a lot of things in that. It's like sometimes when you have great ideas, because sometimes, again, when you think of how you win, it sounds so big, like, but when you bring it back home, it's really about figuring out that need that you are meeting it deeply, and meeting it much better by far than how it's being met today. Yeah. And then doing it for one person. Because sometimes I think that's challenges that some people are like, I need to get 1,000 people. I need 1 million people. The question is really, that's why people do feedback forms after every meeting, because you don't understand how important it is.
Yeah.
If there's nobody that is head over heels dancing, this is the best thing that's ever happened in my life, you've not yet started. You don't have any great, unique value proposition yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and even just to add to what you said, I think you've made some fantastic points there. The quality of what you have to offer should not, I'm going to underline this, should not increase because of number. Does that make any sense? So you should not give people a B version of yourself because there's not a lot of them. You should not give people a B version, like a B version, a lower version of yourself, because there's only 10 people in the room. Like you're doing them a disservice. Because they are coming for value. They're not negotiating the value based on the number of people in the room. They've not come to say, I want a little bit of you because there's only 5 of us. They want the best of the best.
Yeah.
And so they deserve to get the best of the best. Does that make any sense? And you're not going to get better because you are now speaking to more people. That's not what makes you better. Does that make any sense? So like, I'm being serious. Like you stand here, you're a comedian. Your jokes don't get funnier because the crowd has become more. It doesn't get funnier. Quality is quality, irrespective of number. In fact, number is overrated. You know that. Of course, we need number to an extent, but sometimes actually numbers they hide the real facts. Do you understand? So if you have 10 people here and they're serious, and you have 5,000 people here and they're on their phones, the news will tell you he had 5,000 people in the room, but he's hiding the actual quality of the information that he had 5,000 distracted people. Does that make any sense? Yes. So again, it's like what you're doing, and that's, when people say, practice your presentation in front of the mirror. It makes sense because it doesn't really matter whether anyone is looking at you. What defines the quality is the value of truth that you carry. Does that make any sense? So if I'm telling you about something, if it's authentic, it's authentic. Whether or not 7 people have heard me say it, 100 people have heard me say it, the quality is still the quality.
This thing you're saying, I have a good example for somebody in this church. And I won't reveal that, but some people know her. So I was in the VC space, and then she would talk about this industry, textile industry, so well. I guess people don't know. But anyway, and then she would talk about it so well. She would pitch it like nothing. I've never heard anybody pitch it like that. So the way she pitched it was so good. I said, you must come and talk to my VC people. They will give you money. And so she went we did presentation together, we did PowerPoint together. And then I was on the other side. I was part of the panelists. But I was just like, this girl is going to show you guys. It's going to show you guys. But guess what? She pitched her heart out. And they sent a letter and said, sorry, it doesn't fit our this thing. I fought for that thing. I sent a mail. I said, you guys, I don't understand. Why are we not open-minded? But you know what's interesting is that same pitch, out of the blue, a minister was around, and the person was like, she was like, she wants to meet the minister, and then somebody helped organize it, and then she met the minister. The same pitch. She pitched her heart out again. Textile in this country, this is how to do it. The guy said, come and work for me. The same pitch. So that quality thing is really it. It's not really, somebody said no. So if I'm a comedian and I crack joke, laugh. It's okay. It may not be my audience. But how I will know that I am a good comedian is that another person when I follow talk, he laugh, he roll on the floor. Then I realize there's something here. Then I do it again. And that's it. Yeah. Because I'm telling you, when I see people, this whole concept of blowing, because I know Nigerians, we like blowing, but what I've seen most of the time with blowing is that most people that you see that are blowing, they've done things deep. Like, the work is so deep that when it now blows, it's just like, that blowing cannot be the summation of all the work they've done. It cannot be. And if...
Interesting that I meet people that tell me that, you guys have big ego. You understand?
From nowhere.
As I'm going into the office, somebody will tell you that, sorry, the big gen didn't come on, the small gen, so only 3 gens will be on. You understand? I'm going to think, my AC must be on. Some people say, no, it's my AC. See, people don't know that, but one thing that I want to tie in, there are 3 things that stood out for me one time when I was reading. Someone said, your purpose is found in when you use what you love to fight what you hate. So just hold space. I added something to it that when you use what you love to fight what you hate. So if you love to speak or to write or to teach, how can you use your passion for teaching to change the sense that 13 million Nigerian children are not in school? Right? I mean, out of those things, or if you love teaching and you know that you love people studying, how can you create a product that can help people study and pass, or help teachers train people to study? The second one is, how do you use what you know to change something that is wrong in your society? Like, so you have to look to knowledge. What is that unique knowledge you have? And the third thing, how do you leverage who you know? You understand? To create something that can elevate your community. So when you dial in to passion, you dial into your knowledge, and you dial into your leverage, you must shift. You cannot, when you plot that graph, you understand, you realize that you have all you need. Right? So even our guest had tried to tell me, you understand, she wanted to meet the senior minister. We tracked the woman. The woman said, and when I'm in Lagos, I'll let you guys know. She was like, let's go to Abuja. The woman was just busy. So, and then this other one happened, right? But my point is, when I just told her that, the woman's daughter used to work with me, and the woman is my friend, she just told me, Freddy, take me there. I was like, she's busy now. You understand? In fact, the woman came for burial. She sent me a picture. She's in town. I was like, okay. She said, she said she's not so. So my point was that leverage, but we are all one call away from something significant. Yeah. But if you never ask, you will never know. Yeah. You get, and if you never ask, so at the end of the day, someone that is close our funding round is not somebody, I've known him. You understand? But I just apparently, somebody invited me to speak on a panel in 2019. And he was the other guest on the panel. So after I spoke, he called me and said, when you open your mouth to speak, there's something about your voice. He just said, can we stay in touch? Of course, I gave him my contact, and that was it. So we'll chat from time to time. Every now and then he would invite me to his gallery. I'll go there. And then he saw something. Now told us, Freddie spoke about this thing in 2019. And they are still doing it till now. He just like, you guys are the people. That's what he just told me. You guys, that you haven't given up on something. What he doesn't know is that we don't even know how to give up. Like, we don't know how. When God was created, he didn't just put it there. So it wasn't that nobody should tell him, we are on.
Yeah, no. I think, I spoke about consistency at one time, and I do speak about consistency a lot. I think that this is the secret, one of the biggest secrets in life, that there is nothing that you will do that will be incredible that you will not need to really put in a shift. Like it doesn't exist. Like, I started thinking about football, and I play football now at a very terrible level, obviously. And I play with like a bunch of people who think they're good, but they're not that good, right? And one thing that you notice if you play football at this level, at this age, right, is that your brain is faster than your body. Does that make any sense? So sometimes you get the ball, and in your mind, especially when they give you like when they give you like someone throws a ball and you want to do like an up volley or something like that, and like your head just feels like this is the right thing to do, but you mishit it in a terrible way, and you have to pause and think about your life, right? And it's because when you think about the 4-year-old or the 5-year-old or the 3-year-old that gets put in an academy and practices this every day, touch and pass, touch and move, every single day for like 15 years. And at 21, they're doing crazy things on the stage. It's not, the baseline talent has to be there, but what you're seeing is a lot of practice. That's what you're seeing. What you're seeing in one pass, in every pass. Every pass tells the story of millions of passes that has come before that pass. 100%. Do you understand my point? So each time Messi does some crazy thing, that move tells a story of the numerous times he's done it when nobody was watching. Do you understand my point? And we really need to understand that, like, if there's anything I can say to try and unlock people's minds to take on that mantle and ownership for their life, to channel it the right way, is that you need to work on it. You do. Do you understand? Because I'm not a psychologist, but I know for a fact that our brain has like pathways. Does that make any sense? The reason why when Freddie picked me up, he didn't need to use the sat nav is because you've gone to that place a few times, so your brain obsesses and tries to create a pattern, basically. Because the brain likes patterns. Because for the brain, having a pattern means it does less work. Does that make any sense? Because the brain doesn't want to use too much energy at the end of the day. So if some things can be automated, it will automate it. Do you understand? That's the same thing with the things you work on. When you work on it obsessively, your brain will help you to get to a point where you don't have to do too much work to achieve it because you have worked on it. Do you understand my point? So that pass is not going to look like you're learning it for the first time after you've done it a million times. It's going to look effortless. Why? Because the brain has learned to do it effortlessly. But you have to work on it. If you want to be a mediocre speaker, just practice once a year. In fact, you'll be a poor speaker, most likely. But just don't practice. If you want to be a great speaker, say to yourself 3 times a week, I will stand in front of a mirror and I will give a 10 minutes presentation on any topic. Record yourself. Mess it up many times. Don't pause and start. Just keep recording, right? Just keep doing and keep showing up. At some point, you will do something so incredible, everybody's going to realize that incredible thing is telling the story of the million things you've done before that.
Thank you very much. That was so powerful, guys. So we've come from strategy, what strategy is, to personal structures, Just before we round up, I would like us to just mention one thing. The fourth thing I wanted us to talk about was being an economic engine, but we've seen how we've spoken about flourishing, human flourishing, and how we need to be partakers of that. So I think we've covered that. But I think the last aspect I would like us to talk about would be this strategy we're talking about. In order to build strategy or even to execute the strategy, we need relationships. We need to build teams. We need to also have an inner structure, inner circle that helps us to stay grounded, as I said earlier. So I would like us to speak to this, but two speakers, building strategy in building teams and showing up in relationships.
But let me just thank you very much for directing us to those. I want to talk a little bit about the economic engine one, and I'll try to put it together very fast. But before then, just about practice. I think that one thing about practice, because I've seen people that go like, I don't do this thing for the last 10 years, as a matter of badge or pride. The thing about practice is not necessarily the whole, but the parts. So if you go to school now, like you are teaching me swimming, you know, you were teaching me different moves. It's not like I just go and swim. If I keep just go and swim for 50 years, it doesn't mean that I'm good, though. Because this thing I notice about people in practice, so you want to public speaking, say about they talk now. Anytime when you wake me, I feel talk. It's okay, but like, what are the aspects of talking? And in each of those aspects, how good are you? Yeah. So you break it down. I think practice is not really just saying, I do. It's really saying, this part of, like in golf, when we're learning how to play golf, there are parts of your golf play. So it's like you are practicing your swing. So all you're doing, in fact, when I was learning golf, we're swinging how many times? Like 50 times, just swing. No, again. So it's not that swinging is golf. There's other there are other parts of golf, but I'm just trying to say that practice, you can break it down into, do you get what I mean, components. That's one. Now, I think, and I want to combine the idea of both networking and cash, as networking is a strategy. And then, as a corollary, cash flow is a strategy. So I'll talk about those two things a bit, and then I'll. For networking, one of the things I ask people when I'm talking about fundraising, if I ask you how much can you raise, what's the answer? Have you thought about it? How much can you raise? Like, you need to raise money now. I personally think that's something that we should. You're nodding, so like you have something. Tell me your strategy. No, because you see, I'm telling you that is a very important question. It's because it is correlated to your network. Yeah, the answer to that question is correlated to your network. Yeah, you know, that's it. It's just really correlated to your network. So Dangote will be like, I can raise $10 billion. Yeah. Somebody else will be like, someone will be like, I feel raise 50K because of the network. That's all. So network itself is a strategy, right? And the way to build network is to come as your authentic self, right? Because relationship is not surface, it's deep. Yeah, because when somebody says I can go all the way for you, what did you do to the person that person can go? What did you do for that person? Yeah. That's a real question. Think about someone who's like, what did you get? There has to be something. This person is a human being. How did you? Yeah. So I think that is something that you need to have at the back of your mind. That you want. How do you build your network? How do you grow your network? Your network also reflects your standards. So the whole show me your friend is very true. It's just simple. So if I see your friend, I'm like, this is your standard. Yeah, this is your standard. So you basically want to raise your standard, improve your network, improve your friendships. Yeah. So when you say, I'm a changed person, I've changed, I've done this, but you're the same group of people, it's not true. It's not true. You tell me that you move from I don't used to read any book a year to I read 100 books a year, and you don't have readers in your network. It's not true. It's not possible. Who are you discussing the books with? It's not possible. So that's it. Network is a strategy. So the second part is cash flow. Now, I know that one of the things that happens, even for me, I've seen, cash increase, reduce. And I think that what I've noticed, people who do things, people who do strategic things, that they always have money when it's time for that money. Yeah. There's something about that. How many people have had opportunities and go like, if only I get money. And the ability to get money when the opportunity comes. Yeah. Yes. I've seen people who are entrepreneurs. The strategy is to go and raise money in the workplace. Somebody else is just enjoying money in the workplace, thinking that I'm okay, I have money. He is not behave like he has money because it's on a different path. Yeah. So that's something that you also have to understand. We're talking about it, right? Like the idea that, it's very creative. This happens a lot to creatives. You blow, you have money. Then you blow the money. Then you don't have money again. Then you blow, you have another money. Then,
Yeah.
Oh, the idea.
I think the key is to also put in, when you are broke, plan how to be. Yes, plan the next blow. Put in the so that when the money comes, it goes somewhere. Because it's planning. It's strategy. I think it also goes to the personal structure we spoke to earlier.
Yes.
When you have a personal structure and you know that, okay, this is where I want to go, this is what I need to do to get to where I want to go, there's already a plan in place. So when the resources now come, personal structure and discipline tells you it is time to do this. So I think it all still ties
back. So
yes.
what is your personal disciplines? Like, do you get, so you now suddenly, so you used to go to buy this food, you used to buy Chicken Republic, It's normal to buy Chicken Republic. But now you now see 100K in your account. So you want to switch up just like that? Anyway, another thing.
And you
that
have a
helps,
good excuse for it. I mean, after all, I've worked for it. I can afford it.
So it's a personal. And another thing that helps with structure is people accountability. Yeah. There's some people that will not allow you. They will not allow you. You say, but this G-Wagon, they look at me, they eye me. So you cannot buy G-Wagon now. Yeah, you can't buy G-Wagon now. They will tell you, they'll be like, who they buy? You don't feel buy G-Wagon. No, except we'll not be friends again. You don't feel buy this G-Wagon. So you just be like, but I feel afford them now. That one on me.
I think something we mentioned earlier was that, while we're having a conversation, was that a lot of people think that because I'm making money now, I would always make that money. Yes, you live in abundance, but the problem is you just keep making that money. You cannot multiply the money. So whilst you are making that money, how can this money work for me, right? If for some reason I decide not to work or I don't get a gig in the next 6 months, can I survive? Or I'll just be running helter-skelter. It also just helps you with also just confidence in yourself, in the sense that you have a standard to what you take. You begin to build your own personality, you build your business, you build your brand in such a way that you are not controlled by the income. You're not controlled by the seasons. You're not controlled by the blow. But you are speaking to quality of your heart, of your act.
And by the way, cash can affect your consistency. You know
Yes.
that now.
Yes.
So they now say, show, this one, person they come. So I don't get it fair.
Imagine if when you had the money you had invested in, say, real estate, or as you mentioned that now you can lease a property for a certain number of years and you do anything with it. Imagine you created a hub that brings in money every month. You have empowered people, you have created value for a lot of people, you have increased your own portfolio as a person, and then you also have income. And so you can focus on the earth, and you're not going up and down as to, okay, when's the next gig? When am I going to make the most money? When am I going to get rent for next month? There's a system that already works. I think somebody was mentioning, it was David that was talking about being food, shelter, clothing. as to how we are distracted by those things, and so we do not see what needs to be done in kingdom. In the way I see it, I think that as Christians, Christian creatives, whatever it is that you do, you need to understand first that you are kingdom. And that what a king does is doesn't wake up in the morning and thinks about if there's going to be bread on the table. No, that's for the baker. There's a system in place for that to happen. He's thinking about higher things. He's thinking kingdom things. He's thinking how the old kingdom is going to grow, how we're going to collaborate on another kingdom, how our strategy is going to build and ensure that everybody flourishes. You're not thinking about mere things as to, oh, is there light in the kingdom? No, there's structure for that. So I think that as creatives, as Christian creatives, when you need to sit down and say, you know what, I need to put personal structure, financial personal structure. First things first, that I am fed 365 days a year. Then I can now focus and say, okay, 5 million students are not in school. What can I do about it? Your brain does better work when you're not thinking about food, you know. So I
There's a philosophy. Child, Michael. So I said that, when your rent is due, you seem to have more groundbreaking ideas. Yeah. So that's something.
You're at the edge. You're at the edge of crime.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the push you need to walk in and tell the gate man, no, I'm going to his office. And sometimes it's because it's due on Friday and it's Wednesday. And you need at least upfront or something. That's when the ideas start. I just wanted you to speak to this, in terms of, because it's very dangerous to live like this actually. But I want to actually hear that from. Yeah. But there's something about like.
I think BK spoke about the on Sunday when you were speaking to people who waited the last minute. I think that yes, I think that when your creative juice flows only when you're under pressure, I think you underestimate what is within you. How do I put this? You have so much more. Imagine what you are doing when you are under pressure. Imagine if you were relaxed and you just drew from something within you and you were building.
MJ, that's the problem. That's the problem he's talking about. And that's it. Because this thing is said, he used our strength, and I see it as a context of our strength. I'm that kind of person that falls on that. It cannot be our strength, but sometimes I'm just like this. And there's like 3 days to go, and in the night I get anxiety, I can't sleep. We're trying to do a migration of recent. I did not just want to open my laptop because I know the work. I already saw the work, the migration work as a lot. So I was so angry, I just left. I'm like, this is a business problem, it's not a technical problem. But you guys solve this thing. Why are you guys playing politics with my life? But when it was getting to this deadline thingy, that morning I just woke up, drafted everything, called for a meeting, and I called the head of IT. I have not called second in command before. I called him on phone. I said, sir, we need to do this. I say all the things we are aligned, all the things is in place.
But this version of you, that version that kicked in, is how you are meant to show up every day of the week. So, but there are two quotes that came to mind. One of them, you might know the quote. It says, "When the only tool you have in your disposal is a hammer." Complete the statement. Everything looks like a nail. No, think about it. That when the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, because you're only limited by your capacity and your thought process. So the way I would even want to suggest is here, if you're here, cultivate a relationship with journaling. Because the ideas that you need may not come in the moment you need them, but they may have come. So once you are the kind of person that just keep your ideas, some days sit with your journal and you realize God has been talking. and giving you ideas. So there's this story about a big ship that got stuck. And they were bringing experts. People would say, come and fix it. Everybody would come. So nobody could fix it. Then they now said, there's this old man that used to be a retired ship repairer. They now went to bring the old man. The old man came shaking and said, please, can I just pass? So the man got to it. And all the owners were standing there. The man just brought out one tool from his stuff, just tapped it in. And the thing kicked up. The man said, I'll be in touch. He left. A week after, he sent his invoice, $10,000. So the owner said, we saw what he did. Did he not just tap he tapped something. You understand? So one of them said, let's tell the man to break down the cost. We'll catch him. There is no way he can do this thing. Let him break down the cost of this thing he did. Because all the one that said the cost and said, tapping, $2. Knowing where to tap, 998,000, this thing. No, they paid him. At the end of the day, so that knowing where to, because those is his back, the pain, the lying down, from bully boss that told him today you will tap to the brakes. So every experience comes in handy. But over time with strategy, it's really that the more as you study, you'll be able to, and strategy is war. So the Chinese people are doing something in the Nigerian market now. So when the Chinese enter, they are flooding the market. There is no protectionism. So all these are Nigerians doing accessories. They go and bring products from China. China started noticing that these guys, they sell a lot. 10 containers in a month, 20 containers in a month, and they came to spy the land and they never left. So they are not bringing in their own containers and they are flooding it. So guess what? They will sell it to you for 10 naira and they will bring it to the market and sell it for 8 naira. So you have to, they have volume and they are funded. So, at the end of the day, they are tapping into this whole thing because the guy that wrote the book, Out of War, Sun Tzu, that book predates Christ, though. Understand? It was a book that Machiavelli read and wrote The Prince. So at the end of the day, in strategy, in as much as God has not called us to be fighting war with one another, in strategy, you have to think like, be as wise as a serpent and as gentle as a dove. So you have to literally, in business, there are some times where you will not just sit down there and they are taking your market share. Say, we are union. They are taking your market share, we are loved. They are taking your market share, the Lord loves me. You understand? No, that part, I don't know if you guys can speak to how we can still be kingdom in a hostile marketplace where they are trying to take you out.
Thank you so much. So when you talked about the Chinese community into Nigeria, Lagos, all of that, have you thought about the fact that what you're seeing now, right? What we're seeing right now, there was this thinking in someone's head 100 years ago, 50 years ago. Where were we 50 years ago? Just imagine what we were thinking as a people group, as a nation 50 years ago. Whereas a Chinese man somewhere, a Chinese man somewhere is thinking, okay, the Europeans are leaving, okay, right, okay.
And they like clones.
Yeah? And now what?
You see Chinese taking care of their international airport. They borrow loan that they don't pay.
Honestly.
So they are complaining. We have been colonized, but your government took money. And Chinese built the airport.
And you have airports in Africa. So there's that, and also even now with what we're seeing, there's a version of that story of what the Chinese want to do, even in a country like Nigeria in 50 years' time. Does that make any sense? So we're dealing with it now. We're constantly on the back foot because we're constantly reacting. But it's someone that there's a version, there's a story of their impact in Lagos that exists for 2050, for 2054, for 2070. There's a version of the story that goes, this is what we do if this happens. There's a version of their story that goes, what if they decide to do a trial on us and kick us out? This is what we're going to do. That's the level of strategy. That's the level of detail. That's the level of planning. That's the level of scenario analysis that is going into it. So how can you compete against that if you're not planning and if you're not strategizing? If you're just doing, anyhowness, like I like to say, right? It just wouldn't work. Now, back to the story of the brother that talked about, lastminute.com. Now, we know that. We know it works. We know you can do incredible things under pressure. but you're responding to threats. That's what's happening. You're not responding to opportunity. It's not a good way to train your brain. If your brain only responds to threats and not opportunities, you're not going to get the best out of yourself. Do you see what I mean? And do you understand? What you're doing, you're using the basic human instinct for survival. Does that make any sense? If a lion came here, you won't know how you break the wall. You won't know how you jump and still survive, right? That version exists. We have that. But we're not supposed to live on a daily basis like that. Does that make any sense? We're not supposed to live under threats. Your anxiety level is not supposed to be always high. Do you understand? It's not normal. It can happen, and then there's a way you can handle and cope with it and get through it, right? But actually, for the most part, on a day-to-day basis, you should be calm, and you should be able to do things and plan and strategize. And that's the journey that we should be on. Because in the time where you're doing that last minute, and it works. I've done it. I do it sometimes. It's not, sometimes you have to, but it's not something that you should make a habit. Do you understand? And the reason I say that is because when you're under that type of pressure, you may not realize, but you're actually not the most creative in those moments. You might think, oh yeah, well, I'm creative, but the creativity that comes in typically is always creativity of shortcuts. Does that make any sense? The quickest way to do things. Because that's the name of the game. You're running out of time. One thing is constant in that moment. I don't have enough time. That one is sure. I don't have enough time. You know that. My boss needs this presentation at 10 a.m. and I've just started it at 8 a.m. And I know it's going to take me at least 2.5 hours to do a good presentation. So I'm going to need to finish it in 2 hours somehow. Which means one of the slides is going to look awkward, but you'll probably not notice. Do you see what I mean? That's the rationalization and the bargaining that is going on in that moment. You've done. Do you see what I mean? But now imagine, like she said, that what happens when when you've got time. Do you understand my point? To actually go through that presentation and teach yourself to understand urgency. Do you understand? Teach yourself to understand urgency. Don't let urgency be always instilled on you. Don't let other external factors or external people be the one to give you deadlines. Give yourself a deadline and be disciplined enough to know that it's a deadline.
Yeah, it's like you have to have a practice of, I have a practice of soft and hard deadlines. So there's a soft deadline, that's the one you give yourself. So because even if you think about visionaries, actually are the ones that give themselves deadline. When he was asking him about when is your timeline, he's the one that gave himself 20 years now. It can be 17 now, it doesn't have to be 20. So you have to have that level of proactivity that you give yourself your own timeline and say, I am, and then you build the habit of meeting your timeline, right? And I think that's how, so you time box yourself. So you still have that same pressure. You get what I mean? So it's like, I said I have to do something before June. And you are seeing that June, it's already March, and so on. And that's how to do it, yeah.
Okay. BK, should I give you another 5 minutes? Because I feel like you, yes, please.
So very quickly, very quickly, very quickly, right? I believe that God has a plan for all of our lives, right? And we can go to that same maker and tell him to give you the level of detail that you've never seen in your life for what he wants to do with your life. I honestly have an idea what I should be doing in my 50s, in my 60s, in that level of detail, because I asked God for that level of information. Does that make any sense? And so that helps me. So let me give you an example. When me and Fedi, we've been speaking about coming to Lagos, and we've been speaking for a while. And honestly, I was very close to changing the date. I was very close to saying maybe the other side of the year, maybe July, August. And I went to God in prayer, and it was a very clear, no, this is the time. Does that make any sense? And so when I work and when I do things, like I set those deadlines for myself based on the fact that I know that what I should do now may not have the same impact if I do it in 6 months' time. I may not notice, do you understand? Because, how will you, do you understand? But in my head, I'm like, what if it doesn't land correctly? What if it doesn't fit exactly the same way just because I delayed for 6 months? If you think like that, if you give your, that is pressure as far as I'm concerned. So it's pressure to think, if I didn't come here and meet you guys and speak to you guys, it may not be the same if I came in 6 months' time. That's the deadline. That's the pressure. That's why I showed up.
Thank you very much. So, in all we have said, done, some things stand very instructive to me that I think that if you do not take anything, take these things. That you show up your authentic self, you show up correct every time, that you ensure that you put in personal structures so that you can show up in your business. The strategy is really looking forward to counting the cost, sitting down with things, and just ensuring that whatever you lay your hands upon, you do right. Thank you very much for being part of this, for sharing the evening. I enjoyed hearing what you're all doing, and I really look forward to all the innovations that we put in our mind to do. We remain the Tribe Nation. We meet on Sundays and Thursdays every week. If you have your offerings, you can package them right about now. I would prefer that you do a bank transfer, but if you want to give cash, please do give cash. Tom Barra will help me in collecting that. This weekend, we have an event on 31st. Nelson Jason is having his event at Coffee & Co. Do well to attend. It will be a very lovely networking opportunity. Yes. So thank you very much for taking out the time. I think, BK, you want to do an exercise before we leave. So you please do the exercise and then give us a prayer and then we'll end the night. Thank you very much.
Very quickly, when I was speaking earlier, I said warm-up failed in Germany, right? So I just need maybe 4 people, very quickly, like you have 1 minute each, to give me one reason why you think a giant like Walmart, a big giant, will fail in Germany. Like, why do you think they would? Yeah. Okay. It's probably right. Mm.
It's almost like it's cultural to grow tomatoes, to grow stuff. So I'm thinking to myself, we have this self-sufficient lifestyle that does not necessarily need to them to leverage, to rely heavily on the retail world to be functional. And they're very organic.
Mm.
They're part of Europe that is not so processed foodish.
Mm.
Right? So I'm also thinking Walmart, what's one of Walmart's product lines. Secondly, I also think again, maybe there are people who don't like to throw too many choices. So I'm just trying to
Mm-hmm.
I would like to hear your thoughts.
Okay, that's one. Someone else. I think you already spoke. Okay, let's take one more. So I'm just gonna literally read the answers, and then I suppose that basically, just so I can explain what I'm trying to say, speaks to the idea that you can never be too big to understand local context. Do you see what I mean? The arrogance of an American brand coming into Germany and thinking they can take over this one as well. And they failed woefully. Like, it was really embarrassing. But anyway, one last person. Yeah, okay, right. They were in, yeah. And that's everyone's right in that sense. So let's go through it quickly. The American style service didn't translate. In that there was an overemphasis, right? As simple as an overemphasis on smiling. Germans are serious people, and they just thought that was tacky. Like, it was too pretentious. They found it forced and uncomfortable. Like, do you understand? This is not their culture. Guys, I used to work in Sainsbury's, right? Hear me out. I used to work in Sainsbury's, which is like Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, again, like Walmart, right? I used to work in customer service, and I used to just want to do my shift and go home. I was studying at the time, So I was always reading. Do you understand? So I was always going to work to earn money, right? I remember a customer complained once. For the most part, most customers were actually happy with my service. But a customer complained once and said, he's not smiling. And the manager took me into his office and said, you have to just fake it. And this is his words, like American style, just fake it. And he literally said it. He said, American style, just fake it. So that speaks to that. So that's the first one. The second thing, lack of market research. Walmart assumed its US playbook would work globally. Their shops were miles away from where people lived, whereas most people wanted to be able to just dash to the nearest shop, right? So that's two. They tried to force their US operational norms, i.e. banning relationships between employees, right? And setting standardized uniforms. And finally, okay, I didn't have a final one yet, but I think there was something around, I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think there was something around the etiquette. Anyway, just a simple etiquette. And you just imagine like that, at that micro level, because you're dealing with human beings, right? You cannot, it doesn't matter what your justification is, like what your broad, big vision is. If it has to do with people, then you have to find a way to respect them and find a way to make sure that what you're doing and the solution that you're creating works for them at the end of the day. So local context. It doesn't matter how brilliant it is. Need validation has to also balance with local context. Need validation, like I explained, just for those who's just come now. Validate your need. Is there a need? You guys are all solutions guys. You're thinking problem. But that's not the problem. It's not just problem solution. It's problem solution, but does that solution fit? Or would that solution actually create another problem for someone else in the future?
So I think that's one of the things I'm actually facing in this project I'm trying to build here. So it's a personal question. So, and now it's not looking like there's a lot of analysis paralysis. But aside that, like when doing the market survey and also study, I discovered that so the plot is to see that you get in different grades, and put it in an app or a website where people can easily access to order for their parts and send it to their mechanics, and also a place where you can easily find mechanic that's trustworthy, with also the right skill to fix whatever he's fixing, and also creating insurance for that problem that has been solved, so that you don't leave stranded and all that. So now the thing is, the business there is the part side. So I was now studying that. It now looks like there's a cabal that has to do with them selling those who are selling parts. And it looking like you can't just enter there, because there's this closed gates where you just have to like go through this person or go through this person or go through this person. And I'm looking, okay, so how do I bridge the culture or something that is already existing, like the principality that is holding this market from new evolution, and also bringing value to the people. So yeah, like how do I, because it's looking like it has to do with like just few persons holding this, but they are the key persons actually bringing this and having say in the market. Oh.
So I think that first things first, when you're trying to break into a cabal, you need to first understand your stakeholders. The first question you'd ask yourself is, yes, they want to keep it to themselves, but there's always somewhere there that you can meet them, and it'll be a win-win situation. And they will be even the ones pushing your business for you. So I think that what you need to do is to go back and do your research and understand what the market is. Usually, those places are run by they call them associations. Yes, right? And I know for a fact that there should be a way. It's like saying, how did Uber take over Lagos, for example? I know that at some point, give them issues. So there are ways around it. So it's also for you to, when you are designing and you're trying to disrupt, there's a skill of understanding what is in place, right? Understanding the parties or the stakeholders, right? And how you can infiltrate those stakeholders to get to a situation whereby they are the ones pushing their people, speaking for you, and paving the way for you. Might be difficult, it will take a lot of work, but it's possible. So I think it's a design thing on your part, as opposed to your solution is not going to be just because it's good. It doesn't mean everybody's going to take it, unless they can see how they can benefit from it. So you need to now design in a way that will benefit everybody.
So I just want to say that it's important to actually find out what makes your product tick. What is the exact competitive advantage? From my experience with cabals in Nigeria, here's the thing. The cabals exist mostly among the people that are offering the product, not necessarily among people that are wanting to get the product. So like every other system or industry in this country, people that come with disruptive ideas break the cabals. From churches, right, to even this Uber business. The idea is if you want to break into Uber and trying to find how NURT can be a stakeholder or trying to work with them and see blah, blah, blah. First of all, you need to first find what the users want that would take you away from whatever, because people always want better service. So people always want better service. People, no matter how great you think that, we grew up in, let's use church for example. We grew up in amazing churches. We ever tell you that one day Avestas or Chariot or anywhere will be full, you'll be like, for where? They go Redeem or they go CNS. But there's something that is also different from that model that people are beginning to receive. The same thing with Uber. It was the guys that were driving taxis, yellow taxis, were the big boys of those days. Do you know Fitzin Healthcare? Fitzin Healthcare met the Indian that gave him the business in a taxi. He was an airport taxi man. That's how lucrative because you will meet big boys, you meet a lot of people there. But somebody came with a solution that says, you know what, guys, I would tag you guys together, you can book and everything. So first, you have to understand what makes you tick. What are you bringing to the market that is different from the normal process that is happening before you now start to, because there are some places you don't even need to go to the cabal. Just first find, and how you find your competitive advantage is to understudy what the cabal is giving. Do you understand? And then you become different.
Okay. Just for him to pray.
I'm not the cabal's friend. Okay, yeah. No, sorry. That last point I forgot. The etiquette thing was the bagging. The Germans didn't like people bagging their groceries. So anyway, apparently they weren't used to it. The funny thing is that might have actually changed now. They might be more receptive, but at the time it was just too much of a shock. Anyway, let's pray. Say it again. Yes. Yeah. But because that's a local brand, AG, the AG. So, and some of the things we've talked about, like they weren't allowing their employees to have a relationship. They probably now allow people to get married. Anyway, let's rise and pray. It's been fantastic. Father, we thank you for your love and your faithfulness, for this great opportunity to commune and fellowship, first of all with you and now with one another, for being able to share. of the abundance that you've placed in our hearts. Lord, we pray that you spark this and work something mighty, starting from the inside of us, touching nations to the glory and to the praise of your holy name. In Jesus' name, amen.